वो तो हो गया था. आप आगे भी कर सकते हो, जो चीज आ जाएगा उसको भी
So I think it is from this.
हाँ, इमोशनल प्रेशर में होगा.
Or else you can start from
Right.
yeah.
मैं लाया था ना, कुछ रहेगा तो ना करना. This was done, right? Good morning, friends, and I think uh, the Sadhna series is a wonderful initiative by Amritsar, and which is again making us read theory of suppression. I think Dr. Kshitij took a couple of, Dr. Nishant took last, Dr. Smithal, Dr. Kavita, Dr. Dipali, everyone who has been under Sir, who has been with Sir for a very long time. To that extent, that I think Dr. Kavita, Dr. Dipali were in fact instrumental in writing this first few books, also because they were assisting Sir that time. These are that is something which we value. That is something which they are devoting it to Sir. We are doing it. I think this is my last. This is my second lecture just after Sir has left us, but I think he has not left us. He is still with us in this room, on this platform, everywhere, and we have to just see that we come to that his expectation, we rise up to his expectation, and make him everything more simpler. Theory of suppression, when as I think Shrit is also must have spoken because we all share this same feeling that every time we read it, so like when you read Organon, every time you read it, since you are passing out till today, you get something new. Similarly, when you are reading theory of suppression, when you are reading theory of acute, you are reading mass machine, you get something new. And when we go through even today, we get unearth something new, get something new, how to treat diseases, how to wherever we have stopped, wherever we have uh, been halted in any cases, that's the book to go to. Right? We're going in the right direction, wrong direction. And one good part of this books and search teaching is that he has never said that okay now this theory what I had said was is obsolete. It's not an obsolete thing. It is something is which holds true today also. So even if we see cases which were in the past which are at, treated, and you see today, there is more refinement, but the theory is the same. Right? The line of prescribing is the same. Everything is the same. It doesn't go obsolete. It's not like okay, this is discarded now. This is a new theory which I have now become. He has added to it. Has just added more scientific approach. Okay, so he would always say that why you buy a new car? Because you want a new technology. When you buy a new technology, it is for better performance. It is giving you more mileage. It is giving you more power. It is giving you more distance. No? Similarly, he is saying that okay, whatever I had taught is right, but on that basis, I am improving it further. I'm giving you the right approach. I'm giving you more of an insight and fewer remedies which can come when we take when we filter out things. We get fewer remedies in which we can differentiate easier than larger remedies which is slightly tedious to come to. So, theory of suppression, you have already learned a few things back that first embryology, I suppose, has been done, production has been done. Uh, why predictive? I think that has been always a question, and which must be answered already. But now what we have come to, I suppose, is before this lecture was your good follow up and bad follow up. So we generally go only in this format. I think maybe the only or few of the school which first teaches the follow up rather than how to approach. No? We are Why are we teaching the follow up first? Because there are so many times we prescribe. There are so many times we come to a remedy. We give the right remedy, and then when the patient comes with a new symptom, we being new practitioners or in the initial days of our practice, we want to hold to that patient. Okay, we don't want him to go. We have that insecurity, right? And when you are in insecurity, of course, you are in psychosis, no? Then confusion starts. Then you start feeling, oh no, I have to change the medicine, I have to increase the potency. Maybe 200 इतना थोड़े ना काम करे, इतना बड़ा इंसान. So maybe we have to increase the dosage. Maybe we have to give more. We have to give repetition, and we spoil the case. That is our anxiety, which maybe kills us, which maybe affects us, which is making that, and then we go into a vicious circle of not getting the right remedy or not hitting the right target. So these all things, that is why the good follow-up and the bad follow-up, extremely important lecture which I think Dr. Nishant has taken, because that is something which majorly we will understand that where not to prescribe and where to prescribe. Right? Whether you're going in the right direction or not in the right direction. Most importantly, what Sir has taught us in this that don't be prejudiced and don't hold your grudges or your ego. Right? There are so many times a patient comes to you from a different homeopath or from a different Ayurvedic system or whatever it is, and only because of your ego, you don't ask him whether how was your disease when you went there. You don't ask him, what happened after you have started with the treatment, because we assume he has come to us, so he must not be better. But there are so many times patients come to you because they have faith, because they have heard your name or whatever, or they feel that okay, this is closer to my house, etc. We have to elicit that too. And if the direction of cure is right, keep aside your ego and uh, you have to be you have to think for the patient first. If he's all right, do not prescribe. To give SL, it's not an issue, but unnecessary prescribing is going to spoil the case. Okay, this is what sir has taught us in a hard. Even at we would take a 3 hour case. रात को at around 10, 30, 11, 12, we would present it to sir, and sir would say, going in the right direction. Whatever the medicine is, whatever the previous treatment is, we'll do judo. He would say, we'll do judo. What is judo? Is using your energy and using your body as a fulcrum and just transferring the weight to the other side. That means you take the credit for it. But you have not prescribed it also a great quality of, because you have understood what is good for the patient and what is good for homeopathy. Let it come in the right direction. Right? So only a small thought on what sir used to see. Now we will go ahead. Okay, I think this has been done. That how does a gene express? So when we come to a genetic constitutional simillimum, when we talk about GCS, it's too this thing. No, it's a too modern word, too furnished word. That okay, constitutional simillimum. Then we give GCS. Yes, we give GCS. How do we give? Is it only the mind or is it only the body? So, as sir has written in this, that this code, how does this code express? So, the genetic code expresses itself by synthesis two proteins. They are either structural or enzymatic. Structural, we know. I think Dr. Nishant has done. But I will just give you a brief that okay, structural, that is giving your physics, how you look, how you see, how much you will grow, okay, how much your hair growth would be, how much fast your nail growth would be, everything. Your structural. So these proteins are synthesized differently in accordance to the nature inherited by an individual. Hence, the shape and features of the face of a person style to a great extent reflect. Uh, Now, one note for caution that yes, structural changes is a part of genetic changes, but only this you cannot prescribe, and it becomes too prejudiced. So there are so many prescribers. There are so many prescribers who look at a patient, and so physiognomy for that instance is very much in, and it is very attractive. I am not saying it is unscientific. It is scientific, yes, very well, but in last like 40 years or 50 years of practice which sir has given us, he has taken physiognomy lecture maybe last, I don't think about 45 minutes or more than that. What has he given us? A more sharper instrumental knowledge of man and case taking and how to go into. So only that physiognomy that okay, I looking at this person, I feel yeah, this is natural. I can tell you this is calculated, this is chocolate, this is whatsoever. Sir would do that very seldom, I would say, because he would also need an entire case, and it would be a deductive logic when he would know the case and whatever it is. And because he has seen lakhs of tantrums, that one and one like one person can be the same. No? So he would have that keen and observation, but because of that, he has seen lakhs of patients. Okay. For our knowledge, this is a very shortcut method, but we can miss also. Better to rely on the history and then deduct it. Okay, whether yeah, so this person in that he may look like this. Okay. I will keep it in mind, but don't do the ulta. Don't do the vice versa. Okay. So enzymatic protein, we know okay whether these are proteins which form the part of the human biochemistry circulating in the blood, and these proteins are either in the form of enzymes, that is neurotransmitters, or and are associated directly or indirectly with maintaining the equilibrium of the human biochemistry, and they are involved in all the biochemical reactions in human body in one way or the other. All these reactions are in complete balance and not independent on each other, and this is called homeostasis. In general, we have explained, okay, we have the structural enzyme, the proteins, and we have the enzymatic. And these both constitute a unit. That is what Sir has mentioned here. I think this is done, so I think we should directly go to emotional prescribing. Right. So emotional prescribing, what is emotion? Okay, now generally when we are asking patients, generally what we only ask is, how is your nature? Especially when we are taking a case checking, how is your nature? And a patient always comes with, good, good, very good. Good is not what we are wanting. We are not wanting that. So we have to tell them, see, everyone is good. We have to see how are you different from others. You may or may not be unique, but I want something different from you. There has to be some quality which is. Okay. What is emotional prescribing? We'll come to that. Behavior associated with emotion, subconscious, motor, and sensory drive, and intrinsic feeling of pleasure and punishment are functions performed mainly by subcortical structures located in the basal regions of the brain. We all know where does our emotion come from, where does our neurotransmitters come from. Right? So we all know this that it comes from your pituitary, from your cortical system, from your limbic system. This region constitutes what we call a limbic system, and the biochemical homeostasis, when disturbed, can influence the limbic system along with hypothalamus and stimulate various nerve centers to secrete different neurotransmitters. Each and every emotion gives you different neurotransmitters, which has its peculiar reactions. Right? We will come to that. That what happens when there is fear, what happens when there is too much of happiness, what happens when there is too much of sadness. Secretion of dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, endorphin, adrenaline, etc., can be in excess or deficient depending upon the basic nature of the patient. But this is dependent upon the genetic code. Who gives you this neurotransmitter? Who secretes this? Who is controlling this secretion is your genetic code. What you have inherited from. So generally, in all of your cases, in all of your situations, what do we ask? What we ask? Well, we ask generally that okay, this is a situation. Maybe you get angry, okay, or you have a situation where someone has insulted you, someone has said something to you, someone has demoralized you, shouted at you. What is your reaction? No? What do we ask? Did anyone scold you? Yes. Okay, ailment from anger. But someone had scolded. What was your reaction? You got angry, you got frightened, or you were somewhere else, you were saddened that why me? No? Reaction matters. That depends upon your genetic code. That's how you are built with. No? So they are all this is dependent upon the genetic code. So sad constitutions like ignatia, Nitromune, acid phos, sepia may have a genetic tendency to decrease secretion of norepinephrine or serotonin. Wherever there you feel that patients are too sad, too gloomy, no? They are more toward that grief oriented. That when you shout, sir, generally when we shout at him, what does he do? Does he go into a he becomes very sad. Does he become angry? No, no, doctor, we don't know. It's not anger. Definitely not anger. In anger, of course, he would throw things, he would do something, he would hit someone else. Okay. What does he do? He becomes too sad. He broods. He goes into this thing, and then in Hindi you have rutna. Hmm? That he becomes, he shows his displeasure. And that displeasure is what? Then that's why you have decreased secretion of norepinephrine, serotonin, you go into that which of sadness. Cheerful, mirthful constitutions like cannabis, lachesis, hyoscyamus, belladonna may have a genetic tendency to secrete more of dopamine. Thus, various neurotransmitters will be secreted in different individuals in different quantity, giving these individuals their basic characteristic, which incidentally corresponds to their basic structure and features. Okay? So, people who have excess of joy, cheerfulness. Okay, they are extremely excitable. You call them the life of a party. Okay, they are life of a family, life of a party. They are too exuberant. These people, what happens is, what we have is we have more of dopamine. No? They are so elated. They are so happy. That for cannabis, Sir cannabis indica sativa, Sir usually uses this word as merry, not Hindi merry. It is Merry. What is merry? Happy in their own word. Okay, in the happy, just living in the present moment, living in for today, tomorrow. So, thus, various neurotransmitters will be secreted in different individuals in different quantity, giving this individual their basic characteristics, which incidentally correspond to basic structure and features, which incidentally tells us whether which remedy they can fall into. Secretion of these neurotransmitters can also come about in excess or be deficient in individuals due to sudden shock, prolonged grief, apprehension, or mortification. In these cases, neurotransmitter level increase or decrease temporarily, giving a temporary change in the attitude and behavior. That is what we call it as soric disease. Only physiology at work. Physiological cases, acute cases, soric cases, where they can suddenly increase or suddenly decrease because of an acute stimulus, acute reaction, sudden shock, prolonged grief, apprehension, mortification. Now, gelsemium in nervousness, staphysagria in mortification, ignitia in grief are classic example of local prescription on the local emotional level, where basic genetic code is neglected, and this amounts to prescribing for disease in man rather than man in disease, which may lead to a dangerous suppression if the vital force is. So, what does Sir write in this? That there are so many times in our colleges also, no? First year में you have you go get into a relationship, no? By third or fourth year, you will get dumped into the relationship. Then what you go to your professor, sir, I got dumped, no? Then the professor will take that. Are why? Reaction. That is what sir is saying. Reaction important and physical structure also important. Are we going only blindly? Yeah, anxiety. So were so many times, people used to say that, Tanmay, when I was in college, when we are doing exam, let us have Califos. No? In anxiety also get better, mind also get sharp and all those stuff. No, let's see. Don't come to me with this. Okay, I have to go home. Of course, I don't believe in this, but my uncle, my sir, has given me a clear perspective that how homeopathic prescription has to be made. So there are so many times people take this, no, in biochemic drugs, biochemic potencies that okay, it doesn't matter. Biochemic, it is only enhancing. No, homeopathic drugs are safe. We are giving them only for so just any before any examination there is anxiety gelsemium, where there is where he was scolded staphysagria. Yes, they will come in all of these anger ailments from etc. But you have to also consider their physical symptoms. You have to also consider their generality. They have structure and enzymatic reaction both. Then only you can prescribe for that person. And if you are not, then you are prescribing for the disease in man rather than the man in the disease, which may lead to a disease suppression. If the vital force is not strong enough to resist it. So if you are prescribing wrongly and the vital force is not strong enough to resist it, it will start going into a suppressive state. It will suppress you. It will suppress that disease then and there, and it might lead into a second phase of your defense mechanism, which may be which is psychosis, or if it is very fast, can also lead to syphilis. Right? So prescribing for delusions, illusions, hallucinations, and only mental sphere without considering the general and the physical makeup is what is known as an emotional prescribing. Right? And effects of various neurotransmitters in human mind is shown in the table below. That is it. What does Sir want to say? When we are emotionally prescribing, we are prescribing on the psychosis or only on one basis. It is fixed ideas. Right? So we cannot only take delusion. Now also, when Sir used to take delusion, illusion, whatever, in any of the cases, that would not be the only rubric which he would pick up. It would be added with a pathology, or it would be added with someone one more soric or psycho or a pathological or a disposition which the body is giving us. So whether it is the person has too much of fractures, too much of bone, then take bone complaints. What does that tell us? Maybe the patient is slightly egoistic. Because bones are your structure, bones are your framework. So you take delusions, no problem. Take delusion, illusion if it is necessary in that case. But then take a pathology also. What is so knowledge of disease and knowledge of what that disease can produce also. We have to consider that. Now, Sir has written a very that doctors who consider only physical symptoms are tampering with the patients. Only the so either only physical or only mental is not what Sir always used to explain to any patient comes to him. One sentence you would explain this that okay, see, man is made up of two parts. We are taught this in school also. That mind and body. Mind is also controlling the body. So you cannot take only body, or you cannot take only mind. That is half prescription. You have to take both. So this chart we need to understand, we need to keep this in mind, not one more chart which oh my god, we just now we finished with theory of suppression, 7 layers of chart, and now you are giving us one more chart. No, it is very easy, and this is what we have learned in our college time everywhere, but still what has happened is we never paid attention to it. So block in the norepinephrine and serotonin. Anywhere where that epinephrine or serotonin stops, you that causes sadness, despair, grief, unhappiness, misery, reduced appetite, reduced desire for sex, reduced sleep, and psychomotor agitation. So in general, what happens is wherever there is block in the norepinephrine, you have more of this grief. If people go into so as I told you, if you are shouted at, if a patient is shouted at, if a child is shouted at, what is his reaction? He suddenly goes into this despair or grief. There was a case of I think Dr. Amrish, he must have shown in few of the seminars, a few people must have seen that this person who he had psoriasis. So he asked what was your psora in his not because of his psoriasis, but we have to give a GCS. So what how were you in your childhood? And he said that doctor, my dad was extremely dominating, dictatorial, and a very strict person. So there were times one or twice that I had come out when there were few guests and I was scolded and I was hit also. Since then, doctor, mind you, whenever the doorbell would ring and I would know that okay, my dad is at the door, I would run to the innermost room and I would go into one corner and I would shiver. I would shiver actually, right? So that is a reaction which body is giving. That is something which that means he was always into a domination. He went into a fright, fear, but more so he went into despair. What should I do now? Where should I go? Right? Disparity, despair, and that's why he never progressed unless and until he came in from college school. Then they came into, so such children you will get in people you will get the doctor in childhood in our school time we were very timid, very quiet. But when we went to the college, doctor, we were a different people. Why? Because there was freedom. You are out of that jail. 8 9 hours you are in college. You are open. You make new friends, and that is your uh, venting outward. Then increased dopamine causes sense of persecution from outside sources, hearing of. So this we did now. That sign why causes sense of persecution from outside sources, hearing of voices, incoherent speech, dislocation of ideas, abnormal sequence of thought, and abnormal posture. When you are high, when you are elated, no, dopamine is when you are extremely high, and when this is increased. So there has to be nothing can be more, nothing can be less. It has to be a balance. Homeostasis is what? It is balance. If it is more, then you have hallucinations. Then you go into that, okay, you are actually in an extreme high, you don't know what you are talking, or you are in a state of elation. Then they can hear things, then you can feel, oh, I am close to God, I am like this, I can see people, I can hear people, they are telling me certain ideas. So, and when emotions are so high, so we know that we have two parts of our brain, one is intellect, one is emotion. Intellect is what is controlling your emotion, that means it is a brake, emotion is your accelerator. What happens here is your brake have been failed, or they are not enough. So emotions take over, increase dopamine. So the brakes are not enough. So what happens is you start having abnormal sequences. Your thoughts are dislocated, right? You start going into a different zone. You cannot understand what is right, what is wrong. So your intellect gets affected when there is increased dopamine. Encephalin, endorphin increase. This causes suppression of pain, indifference, and no complaints or contentment. So when there is endorphin or encephalin, then you go into nirvana, trance. It causes there is no pain, there is no attachment, moksha, bliss, excess. When endorphin is in. So extreme contentment is also not good. Suppose a child, there are so many times that the mother says that, sir, my child since his childhood never cries. Even if he was a baby, he never cries. Even for food, he doesn't cry. What is this? There is Sora, no. If you are hungry, you have to demand, there has to be irritation. If it is not there, then this is more, and you are going into contentment. That is not what you are looking out for. Sir has, if anyone has gone in Sir's cabin, and which I have replicated in my clinic also, Sir has given a very nice motto saying, life means fight. If you love your life, you fight. And when you fight, you live, you survive. That means you have to go ahead, you have to ask for, no? Or if you are there and there, you are overrun by something. No? You decide not to fight, you decide not to just go ahead, then you are either being you are a prey or you are being overrun by someone. Take it in the animal kingdom also. If a deer says that, okay, I'm not going to fight, let the tiger come and eat you. That doesn't happen. No? You will be eaten, taken away. You don't want to fight. That is wrong. So contentment, extreme contentment is not right. You cannot be too contented. Okay, okay, I am all good. No, there has to be goals. Then only you can go ahead. Similarly, if it is too much, then there is indifference, no? Indifference is saying no attachment. Why are you staying here? Because I have attachment, I have responsibility, I have to do something for my parent, for my wife, for my children, for everyone. That is not happening. So there is a difference, and no, everyone will take care of themselves. I am in Nirvana, right? So that is why there is no pain also, because if there are no attachment, there is no emotions. You do not feel a thing. That means you are going into, I told you, Nirvana, anesthesia. Okay, there is no pain. I am at ease. Then increased thyroid hormone, this of course we know, causes increased overall metabolism, increased activity of the body, increased activity of the nervous system everywhere. Then what happens is your palpitations go high. Okay, you're dry, you get dryness of skin, you get high. Sometimes you get sudden suffocation, all suddenness. Right? All your metabolic activities goes for a toss. Then in females, the menstrual cycle gets disturbed when there is excess increase in the hormone. If there is testosterone and estrogen which increases, of course it causes increased libido, increased sexual desire, right? People who engage into more of sexual habits, sexual desire, and that suppression is not possible. So they find other ways also. So if there is excess of these, these are people who are only one track minded. Then, of course, PEA, we know, phenylethylamine causes increased feeling of love. Huh? Wherever you have increased love, affection, bond, in college also, now you are having headache or something, and then you say, then someone comes up to you and say, "Hey, see, your girlfriend has something." You start feeling better. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling better. Your PEA has been secreted at that time. Phenylethylamine has been secreted. You start feeling good. Okay, I want what I wanted. Now my love has arisen. Now I am feeling better. Okay, your neurotransmitter. Oxytocin increase because it's desires to hug. No, people who are very so. Now we know all when we do these things. No, when we know with where dopamine get increased, where endorphin, thyroid, then we can group. Okay, this remedies can come into these part of neurotransmitter. Right? So oxytocin increase they causes desire to hug, desire for magnetism, want to come close, wants more of affection, want more of attention. No? So you have phosphorus, no? You have cannabis also. Okay, they are people, their mother, if they are platinish or they are sepia or something, doctor, they come too close to me. Very irritating, my daughter is. Every time she needs hug, like, "Hey, how much hug? Go and hug your father." No? So we know this. Why? Because that baby wants that much of love. There is too much of oxytocin there. So coming back to the reference, doctors who consider only the physical symptoms are tampering the homeostasis at the local biochemical level. And this upsets the homeostasis further in deeper and deeper tissues, transfers the toxins higher to cause disease suppression. So when we are only taking the physical part of it or only the mental, if it is physical also and you are applying ointments every now and then you are applying wherever you are getting rashes, eruptions, you are just applying every now and then, you are creating an imbalance from the outermost part to the innermost part. And energy will always flow from high to low. So when you are increasing the electrical potential by applying anything or everything on your skin, then but of course your chest becomes the lower energy gradient and you start getting asthmatic, you start getting cold, coryza. No? This disease has suppressed from outside to inwards. Doctors who consider only the mentals as shown in the chart are actually acting on neurons which secrete the particular neurotransmitter. Example, prescribing for a core of suspiciousness. People are talking about me, laughing at me, etc. is a symptom of Barrett attack. Right? So if people come with this complaint that okay, they are talking about me, they are convinced that people are talking about them, then we always think of Barataka. But that would help them transiently. Doctor, now that symptom has gone, but now new symptoms have come. Or again, there has to be some or the other repercussion that okay, this has come again. Might help temporarily by decreasing the synthesis of the dopamine. But the drug may not hold since action and reaction are equal and opposite, and the patient might have rebound aggravation and doctor may become helpless. So, what have we done? Palliative. We gave the medicine for that state, that small part of it, and what have we done? We have supplied. He becomes better, and we are very happy in the first week. You know, at that time we never considered that there has to be an aggravation, not about that people will talk about something, but there has to be a lull, and then people should start improving. But we are happy in the first week. See, cured. I have cured that schizophrenia. I have cured this thing that okay, he was feeling that someone is talking about. I have cured that. But he comes with a backlash that people are talking. I can see people are talking. I know everyone is talking. The whole world is against me. Then that is a backlash, and then that same Parataka will not help. This plight of a homeopath is because he has not considered the patient as a whole. And the patient in question was not Barataka, but the state or symptoms were. See, I don't know. This is a state which was being prescribed for, which is not enough. Hence, one-sided prescribers can never get results in schizophrenia. When we are only taking one part of it and we are prescribing 10, 15 remedies, we will never get result because we are not considering the whole. Practice of homeopathy does not mean only administration of homeopathic remedies. If homeopathic remedies are given or administered not in keeping with the law of similia, it is just not homeopathy. It has been seen that many practitioners give arsenic album for asthma, alien sleepine, euphrasia for coryza, planta go for bones or joint pain, etc. And this list is endless. But this is not homeopathy. This is home allopathy. Allopathic minded physician wearing a garb of homeopathy do this. So would become very critical about this thing. That doesn't home allopathy. You are prescribing homeopathic medicine in the principles of with the principles of allopathy. Okay, you have this symptom, four symptoms I will take and I give you medicine. There are so many patients who come to you and in our clinic and they say that doctor, I've taken homeopathy before, 2 3 times it has not worked well, but no one is taking a 1 hour or 2 hour case taking, which you people are doing. So we have to just be calm and tell them that this is what is our principle. And first and foremost, when you gave a very 5 minute or 10 minute history, did that medicine help you? No, doctor. Then you better give me the entire history. You better give me a 1 hour, 1.5 hours because I need to know you. I need to prescribe for you and not for your symptoms. We have to be clear with it. There are so many doctors. I'm telling this very often, and Sir also used to say this that there are so many doctors who, when they pass out and go home, they start their clinic. They have a menu card outside their clinic. Treatment for thyroid, treatment for infertility, treatment for diabetes, treatment for this thing, X, Y, Z. No, that is what we are not doing. Are we treating the disease? No. We are treating the man in disease. It would be a better advertisement if you said this is not treated, but you are. Right? One more sentence there, one more line. We are not treating this disease, but we are treating people who are suffering with this disease. Then it's people because we are treating the sick and not this disease. That we have to understand, get it into our mind, and that is what gives us our conscience, and that is how we can get more results in homeopathy for following the right path. So that says home allopathy. This list is endless, but this is not homeopathy. This is home allopathy. where people are giving homeopathic medicine in the allopathic principle. So where do we all falter? Why do we all have different approaches? How come 10 different homeopaths derive 10 different similarities for the same patient and yet claim to cure? Who is right and who is wrong? Is the homeopath who takes longest history right, or the one who analyzes with figment of his imagination and gives a fascinating explanation fit in a rarest of the rare remedy, right? Is that one who hardly asks questions but observes and prescribes is always wrong, or homeopath who plainly prescribes a polycrest on the basis of materia medica, always wrong because he does not have any fascinating story to justify his prescription of pulsatilla or sulfur. Now, there are so many times that one patient who goes to 10 homeopaths and the 10 homeopaths gives you 10 different remedies. Is that the meaning of individualization? A very wrong meaning of individualization, because we are not individualizing according to the doctors, and that is where we as homeopaths get a bad name. That you are 10 people are giving you a different approach and we do not have a standardization, right? Something which we everyone. So that's why are we going through this books? Why are we conducting lectures? So that we standardize. Tomorrow, any person goes to one predictive method, goes to the other. We know, okay, he has to come to this set of symptoms. He will come to this set of symptoms, and the remedies will be the same. Everyone has to be on the same page when we can cure that patient completely, right? So uh, who is a good prescriber? The one who is just thinking, the one who is only observing, one who is only what you say, just seeing you. As I told you, very less symptom. As I'm just looking at you, I'm like, you are measuring, you are lacking in. No, where it is very attractive, sir. Yes, it is very attractive, but not reliable. Like, because we need to get into the depth of the history. If Dr. Hahnemann sowed the seeds of our inimitable homeopathic science, it was Dr. Kent, Boning Hussain, etc., who groomed it, nurtured it, and it was Dr. Herring who, with his futuristic scientific masterpiece of law of cure, has provided legal discipline to our scientific constitution. Those who do not follow the laws of cure are solely responsible for the cures created. He very well right that okay, all of these stalwarts where Hahnemann had just sowed the seed and the plantation was being nurtured by these stalwarts. They gave us such a good uh, encyclopedia. They gave such a good experience that how to practice, how to go about it. So we have to nurture that. Those who do not follow this law of cure are solely responsible for whatever chaos and whatever name. Wherever then we start thinking that okay, homeopathy just has limitations, and that is the worst uh, question being asked in our colleges. No limitation and scope of homeopathy. Sir says it is not a short note; it is one line. Limitation and scope of homeopathy is the homeopath himself. That is, you can't do it. That's why you feel it is there are limitations. But Hahnemann himself has written, he was not a fool. No? He himself has written that the benefits are infinite if practiced in the mathematical science, practiced properly, practiced correctly. The benefits are infinite. Infinite, what does it mean? He was a German, he cannot use languages just like that, no? Infinite means there are no scope. You do not understand where it and how it will act. That is the belief which we need to instill in ourselves that yes, our scope is infinite. We only don't believe in ourselves. How will we give result then? Every homeopath talks of how well to take a case, how to analyze, what to prescribe. No, generally, how to go about. Like if you have a seminar, you have a webinar on no swords, sarcodes, on your other medicines, your forgotten, your some rare remedies, no, marvel and this and that. Yes, understand that, but what we have to first ask ourselves is how well to take a case. This we know have been taught in our colleges how to analyze. Yes, most of us. What to prescribe, last part of it. First, we say very few, and I dare say this breed is too small. Talk about the process of cure. Very few are concerned with the follow-up analysis of the case. We talk this, we have spoken about this, I have spoken about this before also. I think only or very few school who start with the follow-up. Because follow-up is the most important thing. We have been taught all this thing in our college. We are not a beginner. Okay. We have been taught all of these things in college, but we are not taught the follow-up. So this follow-up is very important. Any homeopath who shows this case taking a course prescribed by Herring after prescription is the only right classical homeopath. Anyone, okay, any doctor, any homeopath who will show you this right path, that Herring's law of cure, that okay, so see now this is how a disease is reversed. He is a classical and the only right homeopath. This again should not be a sporadic result, whether it be acute or in chronic cases. His similarly should elicit Herring's law of cure, except in incurable cases where irreversible pathological changes have taken place. But even in such case, compensatory cure can be established. Now, in this case, what sir right there? Okay, this Herring's law, there are so many doctors, so many professors, or so many people who, after practicing for long, are convinced that Herring law is not. It is an illusion, maybe, or it is a delusion, maybe. It is not which is seen every time. It is a phenomena. It is Halley's comet. It comes once in 72 years, and that is what they try to tell us. But no, sir. It has to be in every case, every disease, whether acute or chronic. Sir says in irreversible pathological diseases, sir, when he is talking about cancer, he is talking about autoimmune disease in higher grade cases, where Herring's law is necessary. I think this is a very old this thing, but yes, Herring's law, what it gives more importance to is the miasm. Right? The miasm has to shift. So, sir always used to say that okay, when you are treating a case of cancer, okay, uh, and if the patient gets better, or any of the autoimmune patients start getting better, he comes out from the deathbed, and the patient starts getting diabetes. Then that is a good. He used to give this example that whether if I'm a person who is having a machine gun and there are so many people who are sitting here and the trigger of the gun is not working and it is just firing. What should I do? Will I just point it at you till you everyone is dead? Or should I just move my direction and point it towards the wall? So what will happen? There is compensatory cure. That means the people are saved. What is getting affected is the wall. The wall will at the most get eroded, but life is getting saved. So it's smaller disease. So if you have diabetes, in such cases which are frankly syphilitic and destructive, sir would say very jokingly would say keep it in the pocket and live with it. You are not dying now. It is there is time. So it is something that diabetes, that psychosis is protecting you from going into the destructive syphilitic phase. That is what talks about compensatory cure. So follow up of a case and not only good prescribing for a case is what distinguishes one as a good simillimum prescriber. Understanding of what is more important and what is less important in the symptoms that follow is what makes a good prescriber. What is right, what is wrong, you have done, what is a good follow up and what is a bad follow up. No? That sciatica going and you start feeling that okay, there is some lichen planus, there is some blackish eruption, or there is some tingling, numbness in your leg, then you know whether it is a good follow up or a bad follow up. Of course, if it's a bad follow-up, then we have to reconsider the case. More so overpowering one's ego and admitting that our prescription is wrong for the benefit of his patient is what makes one a good homeopath. Very nicely, sir has given this. I told you that he has taught us this one thing that okay, never your ego should not come in between you and your patient. That okay, whatever I have prescribed has to be right. Yes, whatever you have prescribed, you have to come with full faith and give it in full faith, and you have to be sure that this prescription is right. But don't hold that ego whether the patient is improving or not improving. And it is very easy, and I would say generally a tendency where we start telling, okay, after this medicine you became bad. I think you must have started with some allopathic medication. The easiest way to just push it off. No, admit it and correct it. Yeah, take it as an onus, correct it, take the responsibility and correct it. Because the good part of it, sir, you say that anything which you have given and which has suppressed the patient, that means the right remedy is somewhere near you. Because only a similar remedy or a partial similar can suppress or can give you palliation. So we have to be sure no, that okay, this medicine has suppressed. I know something has to be adjacent to it, something has to be similar to it. Predicting actually to the patient what he is bound to come up with systematically and seriously is what makes us scientific homeopathy. That what is the next station? You have to explain that, which is extremely important. Okay, so if I'm going from here to Delhi, from Bombay to Delhi, and if the next station comes is Goa, or the next station comes which is again maybe Hyderabad, I am definitely not reaching Delhi. I am going in the wrong direction. My next station has to be Surat, Ahmedabad, whatever, in the north direction. I cannot go in the south direction. So I have to predict, no, if I am right, I have to tell you the next station, if I am right, the next station has to be Surat, has to be in the. I have to tell them if your asthma gets better, then the next station has to be your dry cough. The next station has to be irritation. No? Even if sugar has to come down, what is the next station has to be that okay, your fasting has to come down. Then the postnance has to come down. When we do miasms, we will come to this. Right? For one have had experience, I for one have experience with lots of different prescribing concepts in the last 25 years. I started seeing herring law coming live in each and every case only when I switched over to a genetic constitutional prescribing. Sir said that in so many years I have tried everything. Sir, I think sir must have those who have seen, heard sir before. They have always come to this thing. Sir used to say that how did he start practicing homeopathy? So he was doing allopathy, and my grandfather's patient came to him and said, "See, I have warts, and it has been cauterized so many times. So I have heard that there is something in homeopathy which can absolutely cure warts. Just give me something." No? And sir said, I opened the repertory, saw what remedies can be. I gave 2 3 remedies. I said, go, and it got completely cured. And he got so happy and influenced that he said, okay, I have a place in Parla. Will you practice there? And that's how sir started. But he evolved. And he had no shame in admitting this, that okay, I was doing so I was giving so many medicine, I was giving symptomatically, but we evolved. He evolved, he gave us a platform where we don't commit the same mistake, okay, at the behest of the patient, and we evolve even better than that. So constitution, only when he started prescribing constitution, then you started getting your herring snow. Dr. Hahnemann and genetics. So when we talk about GCA, genes, and there are so many school of thought, where did Hahnemann talk about genes? At that time, genes were not even discovered 200 years back, or whatever it is. So it was not even discovered. How dare you say this? And how are you? You are what you say? Uh, you are making animal as your own, right? So as written, the genetic constitutional similitude was indirectly advocated by Dr. Hahnemann by eliciting ideal cure through series of aphorism in Organon. In aphorism 9, he states, in the healthy condition of man, I think most of us have this aphorism by hearted because you get marks in Viva in the first year. If you know this and you pass Organon. So usually in the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, autocracy, the dynamics that animates the material body, organism rules with unbounded sway and retains all the parts of organism. It admirable, harmonious, vital operation, all senses and functions, so that our indwelling reason gifted mind can freely employ this healthy living instrument for higher purpose of our existence. So in this aphorism, Hahnemann has made us aware of concept that the man's health depends on harmony or equilibrium amongst its organs and system. When this is disturbed, it causes health. It causes ill health. That this harmony is compelled by an invisible energy and the dynamics which pervades it and controls it. Consequently, this body or organism animated by the energy harbors within it a reason gifted mind. In short, man is made up of body, mind, energy, which rules both body and mind. Further, he mentions the energy-driven organs and systems of organism are in a harmonious equilibrium, and it helps the mind to use the body for higher purpose of our existence. By this, the philosopher in Hahnemann tells us that our every birth in this world has some purpose, and this same purpose is evolution to higher and higher existence. Thus, every creation is created by progress and evolution of a man in the universe is synonymous to progress of life in universe, which is a part of parcel of universal energy cycle, which follows the laws of bioenergetics and thermodynamics. Thus, man in every living cell has to work for a living sincerely, conscientiously, diligently, engulf as much as knowledge as it is can do to deal with life, to face life with success, and finally evolve to a higher state, thus fulfilling the sole subject of its existence in the world. When Sir says that, okay, when this is a complete process, a complete automatic autocracy, when Hahnemann says this, it is what? It is some, what is gene? When any disease we say that it is since your birth or since your previous generation, that means something which has passed on to us for a million of life. And that is what he talks in aphorism 9. That when that happens and when everything is harmonious and diligent and conscientious, then we can achieve our higher purpose. That is, our genes can achieve our higher purpose of serving and increasing our progeny and evolving. Right? I think with this we have to stop and we have to cut. We have to stop the lecture as it is 1 hour. But see you soon and keep reading and keep studying. Thank you. Thank you.